Thank you for your purchase. This video will help guide you through the installation process. These are the suggested tools for installation: Phillips head screwdriver, tape measure, leveling device, and power drill. To begin, you will need to install the ring on your shade using the provided ring screw. Be sure to tighten the ring screw completely. Before you begin, you will need to determine your type of installation. If you are installing your shade on a wall or beam, as shown here, you are performing a wall installation. If you are installing your shade underneath a beam or overhang, as shown here, you are performing a ceiling installation. Before you mount the brackets, consider the following tips. Your shade comes with a total of 3 valance brackets. You must install at least 2 of them. The third bracket is optional but is recommended for shades larger than 6 feet wide. The 2 required brackets should be installed near the ends of the shade. Important: do not install the valance brackets in the first 2 inches of either side of the shade. If you choose to install the third bracket, install at or near the center of your shade. When installing your valance brackets, you must allow at least a 1-inch clearance behind or above the bracket to allow the shade to click into place. It is important to install your brackets into wood studs. If wood studs are not available, anchors will be needed. Contact your local hardware store for information on wall anchors. It is very important that your valance brackets are installed level with each other. If your brackets are crooked, or if they are not level with each other, your shade will not install correctly. An installation template has been provided to help you align your pilot holes. To use your template, temporarily adhere it to the mounting surface, making sure that the template is flat and straight. Hold a bracket up to the template to mark your pilot holes. You will need to place a bracket on both ends of the shade and near the center if you are using the third optional bracket. Remember, the valance brackets cannot be installed on the extreme edges of the shade. You must allow 2 inches of clearance from the ends. Mark and drill your pilot holes. If you are doing a wall installation, your tabs must be facing down towards the ground. If you are doing a ceiling installation, the tabs must be facing you towards the front of the shade. Install your mounting brackets using 2 screws per bracket. Now it is time to install your shade. For a wall installation, start by hooking the top of the valance on the top of the brackets. Then rotate the shade down until you hear it lock into place. For a ceiling installation, start by hooking the back of the shade on the back of the brackets, then rotate the front of the shade up and lock it into place. When clicking your shade into place, it may help to use an object such as a flathead screwdriver to press the thumb latch. Assemble the 3-piece pole by sliding the long piece and handle piece into the pole mid-piece. Be sure the lock washers are on the pole screws before attaching the screws. Your shade includes 2 bungee systems to secure the shade during mild wind conditions. Install the bungee hook by drilling the hook into a wall or post using 1 bracket screw from your hardware box. Feed the bungee through the bottom tube plug located at each end of the bottom tube. Hook the bungee onto the hook, then raise your shade slightly to achieve tension. Remember, you should always roll your shade up during windy conditions.
If you want to reverse the direction that your shade rolls, simply roll your shade all the way down. Continue rolling the shade, it will roll itself back up in the opposite direction. However, if you reverse the roll direction of your shade, you will need to flip the gear on your crank bracket to prevent the fabric from interfering with the ring. If you prefer that your crank be on the left side of your shade, you have the option of moving it. Remove the bracket covers and set it down next to the valance. Unscrew the bracket by loosening the 3 screws and place the bracket on the ground next to the valance. Repeat this process for the other side of the shade. Next, rotate the valance 180 degrees, leaving the shade on the ground. Now, reverse the valance covers. Do not reverse the brackets. Now you can reassemble your shade. It is important to push brackets all the way inwards towards the shade before tightening the screws. If you change the roll direction of your shade, or you moved the crank bracket to the left side of the shade, you will need to flip the gear on your crank bracket. Start by removing the valance covers from the shade. Next, remove the crank bracket from the shade by loosening the 3 screws that secure the crank bracket to the valance. Then, remove the 2 screws on the outside of the crank bracket. Next, separate the 2 pieces of the crank bracket. Flip the gear portion and reattach with the 2 screws. Now you can reassemble your shade. Thank you for your purchase.